Hey, all of us family. My name is Scotti Beth Lawson, and I am from Houston, Texas. Man, 2020 has been something crazy. When I think about recounting to remember, the first thing I think about is that faithfulness is remembering what God has done, sitting in a posture of looking at our lives and thinking about the things we've prayed about, thinking about the encounters we've had with the Holy Spirit, thinking about every single way that God has showed up and been faithful. And when I recount to remember, something I remember is that for my entire life, I'm 29 years old. I gave my life to Jesus when I was 12, and before that, I've always loved Jesus. I've had a strong conviction to know him, to make him known, to live my life for him. But really something that I have always struggled with is enjoying Jesus. I am an extroverted individual, and so I love people. People fuel me, they energize me, all the things. And being still is not a strong suit of mine. And so to truly enjoy Jesus, and what I mean by that is to enjoy spending time with him where it's not an obligation, where it's not something that I put on my to-do list where I check it off, which I love to check things off my to-do list. But to truly just enjoy being in his presence, being still with him. I've prayed that for so long, and it's just never happened. Really because I won't slow myself down enough to allow it to happen. Well, cue 2020, where we go into a lockdown, and then we go into quarantine, and then we go into restrictions, and now we're living in a time where life looks different. And normal is no longer a word that we can use, but here's what I'm remembering about 2020. Here's what I'm recounting and where I've seen the Lord's faithfulness is that prayer that I prayed for 29 years was answered in March of 2020 when exactly what I asked for came to be because of COVID. I no longer had distractions. I no longer had people to go see because we were all under a stay-at-home order. But what I did have is this corner where I'm sitting right now, which became the corner that the Lord was so sweet and kind to give to me as our corner, where I learned what it means to truly enjoy Jesus. I sat in this corner cross-legged with my Bible and books that I was reading and my journal, and I journaled tons of pages, recounting the Lord's faithfulness and getting to sit before the Lord for the first time in my life and say, Jesus, this is what it means to enjoy you. And so when I recount to remember, when I think about the Lord's faithfulness, I think about 28 to almost 29 years, because I turned 29 in March, of praying and asking the Lord to let me enjoy him, asking Jesus to come into my life in a way where my very breath would not come until I had spent time with him, that I desired him so deeply, that until I sat in this corner, until I sat in my bed and spent time with him, my day would not be complete. And so God showed me his faithfulness in answering that prayer in the craziest of ways during a global pandemic, where he said, daughter, Scotti Beth, I love you so much. I have given you a space and a time and a place where there is nothing and no one that needs you. There's nothing and no one that is wanting your time except me. And so I'm so grateful for 2020 because it truly opened the door for me to learn and for me to enjoy Jesus. And I hope and I pray that you are finding spaces and places where you can see God's faithfulness on full display as you enjoy Jesus. I love y'all. I'm praying that your 2021 is blessed, and I'm so grateful to be able to share this story of how I learned what it meant to remember God and to truly enjoy Jesus.